what you don't manage well, you will lose. And as we see our country drifting today, it is time that we must give way for the youths of our country. The youths of our country that had acquired the knowledge. I don't want to go back to former President Obama. You knew how he came after acquiring the best education. He came on stage. So you can come on stage because your power is first acquiring the necessary tools. You are equipped and you must come on stage. So many leaders, they were youths and they made the difference. You recall the late president of Ghana. It requires one person, regardless of where you come from. Only one person with that right vision. And I can see many of you with the right vision. It requires one person. Jerry Rawlings came on stage. Not many believe that he can transform Ghana. He did. That's what this country needs today. We need the right leader, not only leader, but a statesman who had the heart and the light heart to transform our nation, regardless of where you come from. And by the grace of God, with this foundation,
now don't come. Yeah, fix it. That's why it's coming. Now don't come. Let me upload.
And several other organizations in our country today, we know that in no time, this country will be turned around and transformed for foundations like the Bridge Foundations that are training the young ones, helping out the poor. You don't need to be rich. You don't need to come from rich homes. Look at the history of the main speaker who spoke to us. Look at his background. And many of you had similar backgrounds. All you need is to be bold and come out with your vision, and you will have followership. I want to thank once again the Bridge Foundation, and I believe that for us, for PDP, we will be working with the Bridge Foundation to see how we can improve the quality of leadership of our youths and even leaders and elders like myself to learn, because there is a lot to learn. Thank you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you very much, Prince Uche Secondus, the National Chairman of the People's Democratic Party. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together as I humbly invite the former Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, for the goodwill message.
Your Excellencies, the celebrant, my good friend Liamuke, your lovely wife, Governor of Rivers State, former Senate President, Chairman of our parties, former governors, ministers, honorable members of the National Assembly, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and for the most important audience that we have here, the young enterprising youth. 3 Bosas for this. Bosa, Bosa, Bosa. Let me start first of all, congratulate Leo. We thank God that we have over here today to be part of this occasion. We thank the Almighty God for taking to the years of 60, still looking 30. I can see that's why Madame is closely marking you. I don't blame her. You are looking too young. we thank God for that. We thank God for today. And more importantly, let me commend you for choosing to celebrate your 60th birthday like this. I think it's part, to me, shows true dedication, true sacrifice, to leave the comfort of just spending with your immediate family, to dedicate today with people across not only your state, across the nation. Let me commend you for that. And I'm not surprised. It's the kind of leadership and the character you've made of. And wish you many more years to contribute to this great country. In doing that, for me, I've known you for close to 3 decades now, and been able to work together many a times. And you've shown your patriotism and commitment to whatever assignment you take upon. I've never seen you as somebody who looks at it from what do you gain or what do you get out of it, or what you can contribute in making it work. And there are very few Nigerians like that. Let me commend you on that. And I think that's one quality of you that a lot of colleagues, politicians, leaders can learn from. But again, another part of you heard what the keynote speaker said. That Nelson Mandela said people should not assume everybody knows about you. Similar to this program that we are doing, it's typical of you. If not because I'm sure you are arm twisted to do this, such good work that you're doing will not be known across the country. But today we've given the opportunity to see the great work the Bridge Leadership Foundation is doing. Let me commend those who have been running this for the last 10 years and the achievements that they have done. I used today also in the spirit of that, just say my own few words to the future of our country, the youth population. We all say those under the age of 30 account for 50% of our population. The most important thing I would like all of you to take away, which I think are one of the flaws of our society, is to build people with character. Character is so important. It is difficult because at the end of the exercise you have to make sacrifices, but people must have character. Character to be able to stand in what they believe in. Character to be able to stand, because that is what I think will build society. The issue of character, the issue of integrity. Sometimes they argue that ambition. I don't think that there is anything that is wrong, because it is the ambition that will drive you into to your goals. Having an ambition is not a bad thing, in a spirit of having fairness and justice as you apply that. I think also our youth need to be focused. With over 30 million of youth still said to be unregistered voters, and only having 29 million people that voted in the last election, I don't think the youth need to be told that you can make the difference. It's for you to believe that you can make the difference, and it's for you to participate as opposed to just be people that make advocacy. I think you need to come out, as Leah said, and really join in and get into the kitchen and work and be part of it, as opposed to just making the noise, because at the end of the day, you have the numbers, you have the energy, and you have time on your side. For Senator Leal and some of us that started much earlier on in this journey, it's a strong belief that I think the time is also with you. And I want to really encourage you to not just complain and question, but to actually be doers. I always have one of the philosophies I have in life is that don't be afraid of a fall. A fall is just for you to get up and pick yourself and move forward. It is important to say that you will make mistakes along the journey, but be strong and be bold enough to know that pick yourself up and keep on. Don't be afraid of that fall. It's better to do than not to do anything at all. It's better to be a doer than to be just a passerby. And this is one of the things I strongly believe in. And I think that if we follow those principles, definitely the future is very bright. For some of us, the hope comes from a lot of you are here today. And our role is continuing to encourage you and to ensure that we make this country and this continent a better place for all of us. And part of that process is to continue to support you. But please, be bold, be focused, be audacious, and really take this country to where it deserves. Leo, once again, love of congratulations for today, and all those who have come. I thank you for making this a great day for those of us who are friends of Leo. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for the former Senate President. And coming up next for a goodwill message, let me humbly invite the Executive Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike. Please put your hands together for him.
Your Excellencies, first of all, let me congratulate the founder of this very important foundation and the wife and say happy birthday to you. I'm happy that the former Senate President just spoke and I told him to sit, that means also speak. It's unfortunate that the National Party chairman had left. We are talking about leadership. Leadership. We should not be theoretical. We should be practical. Every day you go to the church, you see the pastor pontificating. He leaves the church. He does a different thing. The founder, very good. Look at the breach, the gap. What is the problem in this country? Leadership. But I want to start with him first. When I saw the invitation, I was wondering where to go because we have different divide. But to show leadership, I have to come. I have to come. Now, if he has shown leadership in Cross River, our party, we wouldn't have had the problem we had. We wouldn't have had the problem we had. And it is important. The Nigerian chairman said, the problem of the country, if you don't have good leadership of a party, the party cannot produce a good leader for the country. That is the truth of the matter. We talked about character. What is leadership? Character, firmness, boldness, and look at the topic, audacious. Audacious. As a leader, you must have character, not to speak white in the morning, you speak black in the evening. How many of us politicians who will speak white in the daytime and will not speak black in the night? Is that leadership? Is that leadership? What are we telling our youth? We are talking about the future of this country. Our youth must be audacious. In essence, they should speak out. They should be bold. How many of us that have been bold to speak out that you want us to exist? How many of us? Let's take from our family, our party. Our party, from our family now. Those who are bold, those who are firm, those who have character, do we want them to exist? Certainly not. But the good thing for the youth, whether they want you to exist or not, what is leadership is that You must decide whether to stand for the truth or not. You must decide whether to do the right thing or not. You must decide that I will always stand firm and do what is right. Leadership may not necessarily be that you are right. Leadership may not necessarily be that you are right. Leadership could be the ability to take decision and stand by that decision. It doesn't matter what will happen. That's leadership. No decision anybody takes, you can say every decision you've taken must be right. No. But leadership again is the ability to say, yes, the decision I took, and I know that I was wrong. Now I'm in a position to correct it. That's leadership. The mere fact you have admitted that, yes, I thought the decision I took was right. Now that I've realized that I was wrong, there's nothing wrong in you admitting. And that admission does not mean they're a failure. No. That's one of the good qualities of a leader. Being able to identify when he's wrong and when he's right. And the ability to say, yes, I have erred. Leadership is sacrifice. Leadership is not about you. It's not about me. It's making sacrifice. That's leadership. You are the head of a family. And you see the crisis in your family. It is not in all cases that you take right decision that will keep the family together. Sometimes you put your ego down and say, look, for the interest of our family, let us do this. For the family to be united. For the family to keep on going. That's leadership. If you don't have this character, then you can't talk about leadership. And that is why I'm happy. The former Senate president, when he spoke, he came to media. He said, I'm telling you the truth, that's leadership. He came to media. He said, why is it that I'm laughing when you use the issue of character, you raise the word of character? I say, you know, that's a problem for us. It's a problem for us. So I'm showing good leadership by telling the people the truth, what you told me there. So they found out what you've done, you may not understand. There are so many people when they leave in office, even me. Now that I started packing my things, I've not even thought of what to do. But for you to have sat down and identified a serious issue which has to do with leadership, how you can bring up the young ones to learn about leadership, I think yours is different. Some people say, Foundation for Diabetes, they put my mother's name. Foundation for Cancer, they put their father's name. But see what you've done. Show leadership different. Not putting your name. That is leadership. So I want to commend you and also urge all the leaders who are here. We should show good leadership so that we will correct the ills of this country from Shomule's this thing, from their government. There's so much ills. Leadership is a problem in the country. It's a problem. My brother, you know, I was just trying to be practical. Because one of the reasons why people fail is that you tell them how a car is moving. They've not seen car. Show them the car first. And see where you own the car. Not be writing, you know, when you enter a car, by your right, by your... No. The student will not understand that. So that's why, since you are the government here, I have to use a practical example that we have very bad leadership very bad leadership in the country. And that's why Nigeria is how we are today. And the bad leadership also affects both all the political parties. All, including the one I'm in. All, not one is exempted, all. That's why when you have a bad leadership in a party, you don't expect to produce the right leadership in the country. You cannot. You can't be bad and produce good. Bad must produce bad. It is the bad leadership we have in the political parties that produce bad leadership in the country. So I thank you. As a government, we will support you because you have shown differently from what others do. The two former Senate presidents are not happy with me, but I've spoken the truth. If you want to collect the microphone, I've already said what I want to say. So there's no need. So Rivers State government will support this foundation, which you have shown me that you are interested in building the youth. We support this foundation with a sum of 50 million naira. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency Governor Nyesom Wike. And coming up now to present a goodwill message is the former Governor of Edo State and the former chairman, national chairman that is, of the APC. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Comrade Adams Oshomole.
Your Excellency, my younger brother, the house is called to order. Yogban, thank you very much. I have to adjust the mic to my level because the MC decided to go height by height or vertical or horizontal. In both cases, I'm quite disadvantaged. But let me join all those who have spoken before me to congratulate my very dear friend. I know if I say my dear friend, I'm not saying so because it's your birthday. We are really good friends. We sat together as members of the Nigeria Governors Forum. You caused trouble, I caused trouble. I do remember the day you supported me when they didn't want us to talk about transparency in the management of our oil resources, particularly the so-called excess crude account, and talking about being stubborn. I insisted I must be allowed to speak, and the then Vice President, who was our chairman, Namadi Sambo, who bypassed me. He recognized Ebonyi, and after Ebonyi is Edo. He jumped to another side. I stood up. He couldn't see me. I said, even if I'm dark, with the bright light in the villa, you can see me. And he said the matter was closed. I said, it can't close. Small people have not spoken. That time, it was Wike's party that was misruling the country. And they didn't want me to talk about how can we explain that 600,000 barrels of crude is stolen every day for 2, 3, 4 consecutive weeks, And we ask the question, even if our Air Force is hopeless, they can at least drop a knockout on top of a ship. And you stood up that day, I will never forget, and you said, because you were of their party that time, you are still there, and you said, Your Excellency, what the comrade said is true. For the first time, you were then 6 years in office. For 6 years, you have met all your obligations, certainly to Cross River workers, in addition to other infrastructural development that will always bear testimony to your leadership and stewardship as the governor of Cross River State. And you said, this level of stealing is beginning to affect your ability to meet your most basic responsibility as the governor of Cross River State, to deal with the social purpose of government, if nothing else. And then my other brother will bear the same surname. He was even more brutal. And he said, Your Excellency, the Vice President, as he then was, many people think that this stealing is official and that people want to amass money so that whether we like it or not, they must buy the vote and rule us. If any young man in this crowd was in that hall, I don't think any one of them can be more brutal than we were that day, speaking truth to power. Even though observers think we are all in power, but some are more in power than others. As you can see, I'm speaking here. The former Senate President decided to engage his successor Senate President so that they will not hear what I'm going to say. Even though I was very respectful to both of them, I supported Senator Saraki, Senate President, when there was a coup against him, you know, Leah. I said we should execute the coup plotters. He didn't allow us to execute them, and they survived to carry out another coup, this time against another person. But that's on the lighter side. But just to say that I agree with a lot of the things former Senate President Saraki said, and I will just expatiate a bit on it. First, your decision at 60, most Nigerians will say this is landmark birthday, and it is. How many people grow up to become 60, even to afford the white shirt, clean, as if your wife has not hugged you? Because if your wife hugs you, usually there will be a mark. If you have a wife, you should know I'm telling the truth. But if you wear this one, even if they stain it, nobody will notice it. I think that to choose to give us a buffet of ideas, a platform, is more enriching than importing Chinese food to entertain all of us. Particularly people like us who cannot grow taller anymore, no matter how we eat. But we can get wiser with the benefit of listening to other people and reconciling those, what they say, to our own assumptions. So I want to join everyone in congratulating you for choosing to use your 60th birthday to have a conversation with very young people and the not so young. And in the process, you just reminded me that you qualify to be a young man where people like us are standing. Because you are just 60. And I'm 69. So I said, the next time I see you, if you don't bend down to my level based on our culture, I will do to you what elders do to younger ones. And I'll make sure my dad will not be there. But one of the points that former Senate President made, Senator Saraki, when he talks about character, I think that sometimes we sensationalize and exaggerate the issue. I don't think Nigeria issue is a matter of age. There are rascally old men. There are incompetent old men. There are also rascally young boys and girls and incompetent young boys and girls. Therefore, I agree with you when you said we must speak about character. Because this age, we speak about it as if it's a bundle of ideas. It's just a stage in life. What is constant is character. As our people say, if a young man started stealing a piece of meat from the mother's pot, he will grow up to become an armed robber. So let's be careful. Because otherwise, every young person thinks just because he's young, it's his turn. Your turn to do what? You know? I ask myself, and I'm happy I see some coppers here. You know, in occasion like this, you want to say something that will attract a lot of applause. But I'd rather go by our tradition that when you speak hard truth in a family meeting, you see people wearing long faces going out of the meeting, you know they told some truth to themselves. I dare ask, how many coppers in this hall were posted to Abuja because the computer or whoever is responsible for the posting posted them to Abuja? How many got to Abuja because they have an uncle who is in the National Assembly? Not as a former Senate president, but as a former something or a current something in the National Assembly. How many got posted to Abuja because they knew a former governor of Edo State? So I'm not excluding myself. So anyone who wants to cut corners as a young man cannot become president and not cut even bigger corners. So we have to talk and speak to character and consistency. And I ask myself, those of our young people, sometimes with the support of their parents, who pay extra fee to go to what they call wonder centers or miracle centers to write JAMB or write WAEC so that they can get 5 or 6 A's and get admission to a university they do not merit. Do you really think that that young man, when he becomes a president, that he will not construct a road of 1 lane and say it is 7 lanes? So again, this issue is about character, not so much about age. And that's why people talk about money. You know, from my own experience, I like one thing that the guy who spoke from Kenya said, that as a young man, you must be idealistic. But although he used the word that most people will not like, he said you must be disruptive. If you are idealistic, you must interrogate the status quo. You can't, however seemingly good things are, you want to see them better. If a young man was never idealistic, as he said, if you were never a revolutionary in thought, in my view, you will grow up a fascist when you get to my age. So the fact of being young, you haven't seen, makes you feel that there should be no sinners in society. My worry for Nigeria today is that I get to young people community like universities. You see a child, a young man, but mostly a young woman, in her 20s, around 20s, is using the latest phone. These are simple things. Telephones that the Moke's pension cannot afford. And yet the father's pension is not being paid. But if you fly across the continent, you will see students wearing, unless the iPhone 4 or 5 is no longer working, that is what he will be using. So I think in teaching, in bridging the gap, we must not transfer from the elder the bad habit to the younger ones. But we must also not forget that this country was led by very young people. I understand that, for example, General Gawan was head of state when he was just 30. He's a bachelor. I don't know how he survived as a bachelor. A bachelor be president. Where do you start? You know what I'm talking about. In 32 years old, president of Nigeria. I once met Nbuye, your time is up, who was Minister of Foreign Affairs. In his 20s, we had the military governor who was less than in an oil-producing area who was less than 30 years old. I think he managed to order that they should shave the head of a journalist who published a story and the story coincided with his birthday. Therefore, he was a bad behavior. And the journalist was shaved by force with knife. So I beg to plead with our young people. Age is not a value. It's a stage. There's nothing about number. I'm concerned about characters. And I had the opportunity when I was president of the NLC, and this you must allow me to explain. I don't like, and I think I should do what the young man said Mandela said. I wasn't there when Mandela said so he said so. That people should introduce themselves. I was president of Nigeria Labour Congress. That was the most important position I've held in my life. Much more important than being a governor or being chairman of a political party. And what drives me is that if it is wrong, power doesn't make it right. And some of you might remember, I had cause to tell the then President Obasanjo, when we fight you, we will not fight you because we don't like you. We fight policies, not persons. And in any case you want to jail me, we make you president. You didn't make me a Nigerian. God made me in Nigeria. He used us to make you president just by vote. We can also vote otherwise. And Nigerians are easy to govern if they see an element of consistency and a level of honesty. Not absolute consistency, not absolute honesty. Only God can boast of absoluteness. And all these ethnic champions disappear when we call for a mass movement. Because in Cross River, there are oppressors. In Edo, there are oppressors. In Niger, there are oppressors. In Kwara, there are oppressors. In Lagos, there are oppressors. There are also the oppressed in all of these places. And once we speak to those issues that connect everyone, the ethnicity dissolve, religion dissolve, giving way to a national movement. Not ad hoc response to police brutality, a consistent movement. The young man that we were shown is leading a movement, not ad hoc revolt. What is going on in the student union today? I heard greatest Bobo. Another challenge. What is the challenge now? This country had vibrant student union movement that if they say no, government must listen. Do you remember Ali must go? Now student unions are anxious to give award even to those who refuse to pay their father their pension benefit. You want to contest for union office, student union office? You approach me as a governor, I should give you support so that you win and that you'll be nice to me. What can you do for me? And you come to my office to introduce yourself as student union president Nance, and you say, this is my chief of staff. How many staff you have? This is my PA. Just copy the wrong thing from elders. The next thing they will say they must be addressed as His Excellency. So my appeal to young people is that even among yourselves, you must scrutinize who is who believe in merit, who believe in this primordial sentiment, who believe, as the pastors will say, praise the Lord. The Bible has told me that if you clap for me very well today, that job you'll be looking for, you will get it. You can't get anything out of miracle. The world was not created. Only God does miracle, but He rewards. He will dash you what you didn't merit. But Leah, I want to thank you for teaching me something that I've learned today. You know, that we can organize a forum like this to interrogate ourselves, not to pass the blame, because at that level, it is arguable who is not guilty. But our problem has to do with values, character, consistency, courage. Those who say, this is not what died for this country. I listened to the first young lady that spoke. I didn't clamp. I was promised. I was promised. When I was growing up, nobody promised me anything. In fact, I asked my parents, why did you give birth to me? I did not apply. And now you bring me in, even to send me to school is difficult. I had to work hard so that I can speak and I can be here, and I'll be privileged even to call you my friend. It wasn't easy. So young women, don't expect promise. Nobody make promises to you. You will earn what you work for. May God give you the courage to resolve from here that you are going to work for Nigeria. You will not influence your posting. And when you are posted, you will resume work at 8 a.m. and close at 4 p.m. You will not cheat. And the allowance you are given is meant to humble you so that at the end of the day, you grow up with the feeling of hard work and you are committed to building a society in which there is a strong correlation between effort and reward. In the spirit of your birthday at 60, may that be the mantra. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think you have to tell the crossover guy that I have since been retrenched as a national chairman. So when he say you people in power, I'm absolutely powerless right now. Not just today. So you shouldn't say what he was saying. He is still in power. I'll be retrenched. And Alhaji Walid, you didn't retrench me from Texas. But when government policies closed the Texas, I was also retrenched. So I'm having my final retrenchment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we need to move as fast as we can. This event is broadcast live on the radio, and we hope that we get an extension, which, we might not. So we need to move as fast as we can. So I'd love to humbly introduce and invite for his goodwill message the former president of the Senate, Ayim Pius Ayim. Please put your hands together.
My dear running mate, distinguished Senator Lely Moke, who is taking after me to become 60 years of age, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Well, I've had the privilege to listen to a number of speakers who have shared goodwill messages on this occasion. But I'm proud to say that this twin event of the celebration of the 30th anniversary of the Bridge Leadership Foundation and the celebration of the 60th anniversary birthday of my friend and brother, Lely Moke, is an event that I consider very, very important, and I made every effort to be here. Simply to congratulate him on the idea of the bridge and to congratulate him on attaining 60. It's a long journey, and we have so much to show for it. Congratulations. Let me say, I'll talk about the two things, and I'm interested in both. I'm interested in his 60 because I am 60. I am interested in the bridge because I run a mentorship program. One thing I have observed about the mentorship, about the bridge, is that he set up the bridge while in office, but he was careful to be sure that the bridge operated as a wholesome non-governmental organization. And I have watched the program of the bridge, and I can say that he was also sure that the bridge is non-political. I think these two things will actually ensure that the bridge achieves the purpose. And maybe that is the reason. Maybe that is the reason you have impacted on so many. Talking about the bridge, and like I did say that I am interested. I have little to say, but so much to learn since I came. I've just sat down, watching from the screen to the other, and from all that has been done, simply to see how I refresh my own program. And let me say two things. In my own program as at today, we started last year to rescope the meaning of leadership. Because if we go away today from here, from the perspectives that many have spoken, you will think that as for leadership, there are various stratas of the political economy that you need to grow and aspire to be a leader, not just the political leadership. And we started to rescope this because we think it's very important to the young people that it's not only aspiring to be a governor or aspiring to be a senator. You should also aspire to perfect in your own little chosen area. And today, it's of common knowledge that people become bank MDs at 30s, get to the peak of their career at 30s, 20s, and in the early 40s. And I want us to know that within our political, economic, and social space, there are various stratas of leadership that will actually come together to build the character we are talking about, which when emerges as a political leader will understand the rhythm that is being played from various aspects of the society and will then perfect. So we are beginning to rescope the meaning of leadership. And I recommend that to you so that the younger ones will be properly guided and everybody will not think that becoming a political leader is the only way to go. 2, the second thing we are beginning to do in our own is that we realize that the fourth industrial revolution is coming with great speed. It's coming faster than the third industrial revolution, and it's going to engender a total overhaul of the system. Today, people are still focusing so much on the Internet of Things or the social media or something else. The truth is that in the next few years, I don't know where we are going, but we will get to another platform that will even overtake what we have today. And we need to prepare our young people because that preparation was necessary when we realized that in the next few years, talent is going to drive both the economy and whatever you become in life. It's no longer just going to be, I am bold, I am strong, I am this. You must develop a talent to be the main driver of achievement, of progress, of accomplishment in the nearest future. And that is the way the future is. We decided to now, in our own program, refocus on encouraging the young people to pursue talent, to develop talent. I know that the British and I think Canadian too, they have a program now for young ICT, what is it called? Some people that invent, certain ICT programs. And they have a program. If you are in Africa, they will take you, give you free citizenship, and relocate you to their country, and properly fund you to excel in what you have developed. So I want to encourage our young people on the bridge, and more particularly those managing the bridge, to realize that we are in a transition period in this generation, not just to aspire for political office, but also there are various areas you can break even just by your sheer talent, and you will be on top of your society. Well, talking about Leela 60, which is my second observation, I want to say that when I became president of the Senate at 39, it was as if it was a big deal. But I want to say that today, I am sure, and then when I came to the Senate, I was 37, the first time I came to the Senate. We were about 3 that were below 40 in the Senate then. Myself, I think Benga Luku, Sunday Fajimi, and all that. But I'm sure it's not the same now. And I want to say, like the former governor of Edo State said, it's really not a matter of age. It's a matter of how much preparation you have put in yourself to fit in to where you find yourself. Well, let me say that the pattern you have chosen to celebrate your 60 actually gives me a renewed impression that you are certainly alive to what God has done in your life, and you are committed to making sure you replicate them in the lives of others. I know that somebody has said that he would have chosen to do elaborate parties and all that, but he has chosen to spend this time with the young ones. Again, I want to say that at 60, the journey has just begun to the other side, and it is really time to give back. I will join you in all the steps, all the way to give back. And I think we have so much to do together. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you have the pledge cards with you, the ushers are going round to get them from you. Please oblige. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together as we introduce and invite Right Honorable Nena Ukeje for a goodwill message. Please put your hands together, celebrate.
Thank you very much. Many happy returns to you, my friend and brother, Senator Limoke. And I heard someone say that I was up here for tokenism, so that it would be the gender token. Well, whatever it is, I think it's also to encourage the young women out there that leadership is not an all-male affair. Well, today, I am not surprised that my brother has chosen to celebrate his 60th in the manner that he has. And it all comes from realizing, and we've had conversations to that end, that the youth of a nation are the trustees of our posterity. 9 out of 10 times, when we talk about the Nigerian circumstance, we say that over 70% of our population is below the age of 40. And that over 70% of our population are the wheels that drive the nation. Unfortunately, when you take a look at the people who make up the leadership of this country, they don't reflect that age. The same has been said about gender. We can't drive a country when one half of that country is left behind. In this case, over 2/3 of that country is left behind. And so I've listened to all the political gladiators who have spoken before me, and there was a lot of political brickbat. And it's very interesting to listen to, and sometimes it's also something that I want to celebrate. But the truth of the matter is that our problems go beyond the political brickbats to the core of the problem, and that is the fact that character, that is the fact that the future of our country is much spoken about, but hardly anything is ever done about it. And so it is therefore not surprising that Senator Limoke has, in the true character of a true leader, decided that true leaders form leaders. If we are today to talk about the leadership selection process of our country, and we forget the fact that we do not create an opportunity for us to get people who are prepared for leadership, then these conversations will carry on till the end of time. It was another son of Cross River State that said that Nigeria is a country where the leaders are like pilots who never went to flying school. By so, what did he mean? That the people who are prepared for leadership are not taught leadership, and there's no platform for them to learn how to be true leaders. And so when a person comes up with this initiative to build true leadership across board, in spite of demographics, in spite of religious divides, but he just looks at the country as one entity and tries to build a leadership for a country that will be the country of our dreams, we can't but celebrate him. Today, I wish you, my friend and brother, that you live as long as you want, but never want as long as you live. That the vision that has been put in you is one that shall continue to flourish even beyond today. And I'm hoping that the young people that you plant the seeds of true leadership in, that it will flourish and it will take root in a way that will move our country in the direction that we all hope that our country may move in. Both political divides, I am also a politician, but I stand here today to say that we have failed the youth of our country. And so if the youth start to interrogate us, start to interrogate the circumstance of the country, then indeed true leaders would have been born. I know that we cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build the youth for the future. And that is what Liel has done. And I'd like to thank you very, very much indeed for this initiative. And I wish you many, many more years in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Right Honorable Ndudi Elumelu, the minority leader in the House of Reps. Come on, give him a warm welcome.
Your Excellency, Senator Leali Moke, all the excellencies here, especially my brother, the former governor, performing governor of Imo State, a man that I'm very proud of. To me, he's the original governor of Imo State. Your Excellencies, of course, recognizing the BOT chairman of PDP and former governor of Niger State, invited guests, the Audacious youths. Are you here? The Audacious youths, are you here? I think my focus is going to be on you, apart from wishing His Excellency a happy birthday. Mine is to focus on you and let you take something out of this place. So if you have a pen, I'm going to give you some few things. One is C, capacity. Another one is H, humility. Another one is E, empathy. Another one is I, integrity. Another one is R, resilience. Another one is S, strategy. Then the last is U, unstoppable. Now, for you to be audacious and be able to lead a societal change, you must have capacity. You must be able to weather the storm. You must never give up. And that is the C. Then the humility. I will give you a story. May he so rest in peace. Late Tony Aneni, I walked into his house and I asked him, how come in every government that comes, you will take out something from that government? How do you do it? And he asked me to lock up his door. I did, the sitting room. He asked me to kneel before him. I knelt. He handed over a paper to me. And he pressed the bell, asked his PA then, Giwa, to come in. Giwa did. Before he did, he asked me to sit back. I sat back. And of course, he asked me to keep holding the paper before Giwa came. I did. And when Giwa came, Giwa greeted me and left. And he asked me, when Giwa came, did he see you with anything? I said, yes. What did he see you with? He said, paper. Did he know that you knelt down to collect that paper from me? I said, no. He said, so for you to achieve anything, you must show level of humility. And you must give out every pride to achieve your purpose. What people see outside is the result, not how you achieved it. The other one is empathy. The environment that you belong to, you must empathize. You must show cause that you love your people. Whatever you do, whatever achievement that you gain in the course of your life, give it back to the society and thank them for making you being who you are. That is empathy. Now for integrity. In anything you do to achieve results, and B, audacious enough to lead for Nigerian change in leadership, you must carry integrity. In anything you do, that is the highest. We are today celebrating the man that is turning 60. In addition to that, apart from going to do Wambe, as they popularly say it, he has chosen to impart in you by bringing you here to listen to different leaders in different characters, in different form, and in different shape. Some have come here to please them, to promote themselves. Some have also come here to showcase what it takes. Some have come here to market themselves and go out and not even sitting down with you to learn to the end. Integrity. You must carry it. And resilience spirit. You must never, never give up. For you to be audacious enough to lead in the change that the Bridge Leadership Foundation is propagating, you must be hardworking and never give up. Then in achieving all, you must employ strategy in achieving that. Having taken pain in achieving all these ones, what happens? You become what? Unstoppable. The audacious youth, can I hear you say, I am unstoppable? I am unstoppable. So when you employ most of these items that I've enumerated, the end result is that you become what? Unstoppable. God bless you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, coming up to give us his goodwill message. Please put your hands together for Olumide Akpata, the president of the Nigerian Bar Association. We also want to plead with our speakers that in a few minutes we will get straight to the panel discussion. Please put your hands together. A round of applause. A warm welcome. Olumide Akpata. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellency Senator Emoke, happy birthday. I think we've spent a lot of time on goodwill messages. I think we really need to move on to the session that will actually impact on the young people. But I must say, firstly, I'm here because of your birthday, sir. Thank God for your life. I consider myself privileged to be counted as one of your friends. It's something I owe dearly, and it was important that I be here to honor you, to thank God for your life. Despite whatever challenges you may have gone through, God has allowed for you to see this day. May He let you see many more days, and we will continue to celebrate with you in His name. Happy birthday. For the bridge at 10, fantastic to hear what has been going on with this foundation. As you can see from what I will call the cacophony of voices that we have heard before now, leadership is an issue in Nigeria. I think that it is important, the work that you are doing, because, and Nena, my dear sister, and I were kindred spirit. As she spoke, she took words out of my mouth. The problem is that, unfortunately, our leadership class has emerged by accident. And so what we are trying to do with the bridge is to ensure that that accident does not repeat itself, that you have people who are prepared for leadership so that they can actually deal with the issue. There actually shouldn't be too many of the bridges if our educational system was working. You know, our schools were initially set up. Curricula was in place to ensure that people developed to take up leadership. I went to one of such schools. There were many across the country. Your Excellency, you went to one of such schools that were set up for leaders to emerge, not by accident, but by deliberate measures. But all of that has been thrown out of the window. The fear that I have is that we will be here 20 years hence, 30 years hence, having this same conversation, because there will be accidental leaders in place who are not equipped for the role that they... We must, in the interim, support the bridge and institutions like this to fill in the gap until we're able to develop our educational system or bring it back to what it's supposed to be, so that we can have leaders, a pipeline of leaders that will deal with, that will handle. Look at the civil service. I keep on asking myself, the federal civil service, the state civil service, I just try to think 20 ahead. Who will be those who will be manning? It's bad enough as it is right now, but who will be manning our civil service? Which is why I'm so grateful to my big brother Aigi Mokwede, who has set up, who's been trying to help with institutional building. We have to have bodies like that. Finally, to the young ones who are here, you are the beneficiaries, or you are the intended beneficiaries of this exercise. Please, you must be deliberate about it. Audacious, yes, but the audacity must be underpinned by preparation. The audacity must be underpinned by knowledge. You must know your stuff so that you can actually, when you're called to be counted, you can deliver creditably, so you're not an accidental leader. Some of you might be familiar with my emergence as president of the Nigeria Bar Association. We use that as an example sometimes to say, not only should you be prepared, you must also be able to organize. Forgive me, let me not fall into that trap. My name is Olumide Akpata. I'm president of the Nigerian Bar Association. Just in case you don't, let me, like Mandela was said to have said, let me introduce myself. So now, we have to organize. You have to be prepared. You must know your stuff, and then we have to organize. Senator Moke is right. Nobody's going to hand this thing over to you. You must go and get it. So we have to organize. How do we organize? How many of us have our voters card? We're still hearing of 30 million Nigerians who are not voting. It's a numbers game. So, but like I said, let's wait for the panelists. I don't want to take too much time. Congratulations. Your Excellency, I'm here with you all day by the grace of God, and I will support the foundation, and I would also try to see how we can collaborate between the foundation and the Nigeria Bar Association, because it's important that we raise a cadre of leaders even in our profession. Of course, you all know that I am his president. So, even in our profession, we have to also do the same thing. Congratulations. God bless you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And before we get into the panel discussion, we'll take a goodwill message from Mwazu Babangida Aliyu, the former governor of Niger State, His Excellency Babangida Aliyu. Please put your hands together for him. Warm welcome. Thank you.
One of those difficult times when excellent speakers have spoken and then you're called upon to say something. But let me start by thanking God that my path, I came across Liel Imoke when I was in the civil service. I was then Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transport, and he was a minister. And we were put in one committee to write a white paper on Ajakuta. And I met a humble young man. Well, don't worry, I'm older than you by about 5 years. I saw a humble young man. So when I was reading somewhere, somebody saying autocratic, I said, not Liel Imoke, maybe somebody else. Because this is a self-effacing, very determined, very logical, and very coherent individual that at any time before opening his mouth in any meeting, whether you like him or not, you will appreciate the point that he has made. And then we came almost the same time as governors, and we were in Nigeria Governors Forum. And like Adam said, we share surname, and we used to be the toughest, because you need, no matter how you find yourself, even if you are an accidental leader, try to adjust. Don't go and continue to be discharging accidents in that leadership position. Sometimes why I find it difficult to, like our sister said, the political brickbat, sometimes we cause things that will come and haunt us. We produce the government that is causing all the problems that we are having today. Whether you vote or did not vote, whether you like it or did not like it, for 8 years, now those of us in our part of the country where we had to go and beg parents to bring their children to school, now these children have been abducted. What will you say to such parents? And that is why I'm very grateful, Leo, for this foundation. And I think I'm very right. Out of humility, you didn't say Leo Imoke Foundation. And you made it in such a way that anybody who sees it understands where you are heading to. Please, 1 more minute to speak to I'm a grandfather too, so you can imagine my concern for the youth. I have 6 children, 2 females, 4 males. But I always say that if I were to be asked, I would have preferred 4 female, 2 males. Why? Because the female children are more of insurance than the male ones. The female children out there are married, but almost every day they will call their daddy to find out how he is. But the males, they are in my household. Sometimes I'll go and knock the door. Are you there? But the essence of this is to say, please let us pay attention to our education. And it is not the classroom thing. It is the extracurricular activities that you get involved in schools that may help you more. That is when you develop the skills that you might not even have been aware you have it until challenged. Read. Unfortunately or fortunately, social media seem to have taken over that the reading culture is almost dying. How many of us in 1 month have read a complete book of 200 pages? Audacious youth? How many of us? Book is more entertaining than when you just watch it out there. I remember in secondary school when I was asked in one of my health classes, what stops you from sleeping at night? I didn't put insomnia, I put novel. Because once novel was in my hand, until I finish, I will not go to sleep. And I wasn't looking like this when I was younger, maybe Oshomole's style. Oshomole too, we met at the Nigeria Labour Congress. So what I did was to say, if I could not be made a head boy or a prefect, I could make myself something. And I joined about 12 clubs, from debate to history to drama and co. And I was either a secretary or a president of one of them. And those are the times when any challenge that comes to you, you find that you have a repertoire of what to fall back into. So please, audacity is not enough if not anchored on knowledge, understanding, and indeed respect for your fellow human beings. Leo, we thank you very much. I'm happy to see you very happy all the time. And whenever you are in a meeting, I'm always very confident that the decisions will come up fine. So let me do the performing governor, the de facto, even if not de jure, governor of Imo State. He's been sitting there quietly Please stand up to be recognized. Emeka. Thank you. You remember that language that said, how can number 4 become number 1? Okay. We are still going back, don't worry. Time will show. Authentic. My chairman, BOT, always looking fine and helping us with the Fulani issues, even though now we have copycats who do things and they refer to it as Fulani. Other people do their own thing and call it Fulani. Please stand up to be recognized, sir. He is the Sarkin Fulani of Nasarawa, and he has been going around. In fact, he was at Enugu speaking to some Fulani there too, to make sure that we all live peacefully. Please and please, all of us here, we share many, many, many things in common. Our humanity. Run away from looking at things at the prism of religion or tribe. People have exploited us because of that. And when they reach where they want to go, they forget you. Think Nigeria. First and foremost, think Nigeria. Be a Nigerian. Thank you. May God bless you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, time down for our first panel discussion. Just to inform you that we have 10 viewing centers and they're fully packed. There are loads of people there joining us as though they were here. We're also broadcasting live on Hit 95.9 FM in Calabar. For the panel discussion, you can contribute on social media, of course, and you could also ask questions for those that are here. All right, I'd introduced a few speakers earlier on, 2 speakers. I'd introduced Folusho Badamosi, who joins us virtually. I'd introduced Naomi Lucas. Naomi, please come up. Naomi is the Senior Vice President, Marketing and Growth, Softcom. Please put your hands together for Naomi. Come on. All right. Naomi serves on the board of several nonprofits. She's a mentor, and she's an executive coach to some of Africa's most promising senior executives. We have Dr. Omano Edigeji, who's here with us as well. Dr. Omano is a scholar, he's a development expert. He holds a PhD in political science with specialization in the political economy of development, and currently he's the special advisor research and documentation to the governor of Kaduna State. Please put your hands together for Dr. Omano, who joins us. He's lectured in several schools and spoken in several forums. We also have on the panel the Executive Director of Youth Hub Africa, Rotimi Olawale, who joins us up here. He's a youth development expert, and he's consulted by many national and international agencies, including the World Bank, including the United Nations Population Fund, African Development Bank, the International Republican Institute, and the African Union Youth Division, among others. Please put your hands together for Rotimi Olawale. And Kunle Idowu joins us virtually. You might not know Kunle by that name, but you know him better as Frank Donga. Frank Donga is an award-winning actor, comedian, and digital content creator. He has background in agriculture and animal genetics, but he's used his skills in communications to advocate for sustainable human activities and protection of biodiversity. He teaches several master classes and constantly speaks at universities and film festivals. He's been nominated for the AMVCA, and he's a CNN affiliate. Frank Donga joins us virtually. Please put your hands together. I hope we can connect. And to moderate this session, we have Choma Agwegbo. Please, come on, put your hands together for Choma Agwegbo. Choma is home. Yeah, so Choma is the executive director at TechHa, and she's been into advocacy since 2009. She has a master's degree in social media and a first degree in mass communication. She's graced several podiums, and she's an alumnus of the World Economic Forum's Global Shapers. She served as Deputy Curator and Communications Director of the Abuja Hub, a Commonwealth Associate Fellow, and an Associate Member of the Nigerian Leadership Initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Chioma Agwegbu. Once again, if you want to be a part of this, you can contribute, write your questions, and after the session, we'll just get straight to it. And for those listening to us and joining us from all around the world, feel free to send your questions via the social media platforms where you're logged on to from. Thank you very much. Chioma.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. Before I begin with the panel, I think it's just important to mention that and I say this only because a lot of people have talked about the problems with Nigeria today. But I think it's very important to mention that Thank you. I think it's important to mention that everyone who has spoken before now, particularly the people giving the goodwill messages, have left. And for me, that's one of the problems with Nigeria today. Simply because they speak, but they never wait to hear from young people. So you don't know what young people are thinking. You don't know what the challenges of young people are. I've listened to people speak about education. But in 2021, we've had 7 abductions from school. Which education are we talking about?
Exactly.
We've heard people talk about young people need to equip themselves. Where are they equipping themselves when we have a National Assembly that's planning to increase the cost of participation in politics for young people? So I think it's important for all of us here to reflect on what the problems of Nigeria are. Also important to mention that we had only 1 female speaker give a goodwill message. And while it does show young women that there is a place for them in politics, it is representative of the problems of women in politics today. Moving on to the panel. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. And I'm adding my prayers that the souls of Dr. Ubong and Emilia Asimita continue to rest in peace. Both of them are trailblazers, both incredible people some of us were privileged to know. Emilia was a very personal friend of mine, and I miss her terribly. She was a force for societal change, and she continues to lead, even though she's no longer here with us. With us today, however, are a crop of incredible people, and we will be discussing the Audacious Youth, a force for change. Some statistics to set the stage for this conversation. According to the United Nations, about 43% of Nigeria's population are comprised of children aged 0 to 14, 19% aged 15 to 24, and about 62% below the age of 25. By contrast, Nigeria is led by people aged 60 years and above, even though it has just about 5% of the same number. I'm not sure if we'll be able to connect with our virtual guests today, and so we will begin with a question which allows my guests to introduce themselves. The question is, what is the bold risk, either as an individual or as the leader of organization, that the work you do responds to? And I'll start with Naomi.
Perfect question. Like the keynote speaker had said earlier, one of the things I wanted to do was introduce myself by myself and not assume that everybody here knows me. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start, let me quickly wish His Excellency, Senator Leah Limoki, a happy birthday. My prayer for you is that may today mark the beginning of the best days of your life. Right. Okay, so I'm Senior Vice President, Marketing and Growth for Softcom and AO. And I want to speak to that very quickly. At Softcom, we're very, very passionate about equitable access and inclusive growth for Africans wherever they may be. We put our money where our mouth is. We believe in the potential of young people to speak to our collective aspirations as a nation, and we empower them with the tools, the resources, the network, and the financial backing that they need to succeed. Even if I say so myself, the best of the best work at Softcom. It can take you anything from 1 to 5 years to get into Softcom, right? But if you think about a place where, if you're looking for a place where your audacity can find expression, Softcom is looking for you. I can see a lot of people in NYC uniforms, and I know that your nights are plagued by a lot of anxiety. You are not immune to information out there that we have 23 million unemployed young people today. So I know that there's a lot of anxiety, but look for Softcom, find Softcom, and find a way to get into Softcom. Your aspirations will find expression there. So just speaking quickly, yeah, we drive equitable access and financial inclusion for young Africans wherever they may be.
Thank you very much. For the people, for our brothers and sisters in NYC, if you need to reach her, I'm happy to collect a small fee if she says she's too busy to respond to you. Dr. Omano.
Who is looking 50 rather than 60, and earlier I asked him which vaccine did he take. So I want to take that vaccine. Congratulations and many more years of happiness, peace, and good health. First, I had structured my presentation differently. But given what I have seen, I'm going to reshape my intervention. You have just witnessed the problem of Nigeria. Almost everyone that spoke here have been in government for years. And if you look at the indicators, the unemployment indicators, the poverty level, it happened during their reign. I'll just show you the employment. Sorry, if you can see this. Yeah, if you see that graph, it tells you there is a consistent trend. There is a trend line of poverty, of unemployment increasing from the year 2000, which I use as indicators to measure the democratic dispensation. So for anyone for them to say it is PDP or APC, they are part of the problem. None of those parties have been able to address the challenges that confront the country. That is what the data says. And I have had some governors, including Senate speakers, this happened during their reign. And the tragedy of it is we have practiced democracy without the people. They have just shown it. They want us to listen to them. They don't want to listen to you. That is the problem. And please, they should not tell you to go and vote. It is not about voting. But let me also, there is a misconception by the former Senate president, which Comrade Adam also reiterated. The problem is not character. The problem is about values. What is your value system? Let's understand what character, I just go it. So let me just read that to you. What is character? It is the mental and moral quality distinctive to an individual. This can be bad or good. Let me bring this to issue of the Nigerian problem. What is the development agenda what is the vision that we have for ourselves as a country? That is the problem. We have had two political parties to a large degree that have no clear development agenda about how the country will develop. The crisis that we have is under their wash, and the crisis have exacerbated under their wash. Unemployment has increased. The crisis of insecurity that we witnessed today was not there in 1999. So, just listening to some of them, I was just a bit surprised, as if they are talking to alien. We are Nigerians. We have gone through this. None of them should come and pretend to me or to us that they are Pope. They are not. They are the problem.
Dr. Manu?
Yes.
Thank you.
Having said that, let me introduce myself. My name is Dr. Manu Digeji.
Thank you.
I went to University of Jos. The second week I entered the university, I led a protest because some students have been expelled. Well, I have become an academic. Currently, I work in government, so you can see me as part of the problems. Okay? So that is my little background. But in terms of what we do, we have a huge crisis that faces us. I work in Kaduna State as the advisor to the governor. We are confronted with how do we try to industrialize the country. That is the state. Because if we do not diversify the economy and remain dependent on oil, we will not be able to address the developmental challenges. So we are confronted with that every day, and that is one reason that we are trying to focus as much as possible on attracting investment. But the crisis of insecurity also impacts negatively on the ability not just only Kaduna State, but the whole country to attract the requisite investment that will create jobs for our youth that are sitting here today and those that are not sitting here today. So perhaps let that be my opening remark. Sorry for the digression, but I felt that we need to correct some of the misconception, and I will appeal to this forum. Perhaps you need to bring these leaders. Let us have a conversation about where is the country going.
Dr. Manu.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I would also lean on existing protocol and thank His Excellency Senator Leo Imoke for using the occasion of his 60th birthday to organize such an important dialogue, to have this exchange of ideas on what it is to be an audacious youth. And I think that as part of your introduction, you mentioned your conversation with a social media influencer, and also reiterating the fact that when you're influencing and leading, you must also negotiate your participation in the boardroom. And I'm happy that former Senate President then mentioned that there are different cadres that young people should aspire to be in leadership, and not just only in political leadership. In today's Nigeria, political leadership is very exciting because people see the volume of funds and influence that political leaders in Nigeria can do during the course of their tenure. I found it very interesting when our current leaders, many of them who spoke and left, were talking about leadership as if it's something that they were not part of. Yes, every regime and every government in Nigeria has both the good and also the bad part of it. And it's also very important that we reflect on the good and bad parts of leadership. In many administrations in Nigeria, we've seen former governors or governors at the tail end of their tenure, they send bills to the State House of Assembly, and they award to themselves fats, pensions, and gratuities on their way out of office. What is the character that they are showing to young people about political leadership? And these are the kinds of things that we should interrogate. His Excellency, the former governor of Niger State, was asking the audience whether young people read anymore. Where are the libraries? Where are the public libraries anymore in Nigeria? The libraries are dead. They are not functioning. In Nigeria's public schools, we used to have functioning library. I went to a public school in Osun State, and I was proud at the time that we would get a daily paper, at least one, in our public library. Papers have disappeared. So where would young people find the opportunities to read? There are bookshops in Abuja. I go there, I see young people buying books, and we have done several initiatives where we have donated books to public schools, to young people across Nigeria. And I think that there's a yearning for Nigerians to read, but the opportunities are no longer there. My final point, Nigerians are leading in many facets. And I think that one space that young Nigerians are leading is in social change. Young Nigerians galvanize together, and they've been complaining for so long that there's a lot of police brutality in Nigeria. Leaders don't listen. They come to occasions like this, they speak and leave. They don't listen. Young people are harassed, they are arrested, they are profiled, they are beaten, they are jailed just because they are young. And young people are saying it's enough. But what happened? Nigerians were shot and killed, and that's the truth. And we would not allow that truth to be buried because young Nigerians are protesting. That anger has not disappeared. Government has used force, but that anger that young people feel has not disappeared. It has only dissipated for a while, but that's one section. Also in the terms of technology, young Nigerians are leading change in technology, not only for Nigeria, but across the continent. You see things like fintech, like cryptocurrency, things that government also do not understand. The reaction for government is, when we don't understand something, you ban it. That's not a solution. You need to bring these young players to the table and have conversations and dialogue and say, yes, this poses a risk to our financial system, but how do we do it in a way that we can capture the innovation and the fire you're bringing to the table, but also to mitigate the risk? Now we've banned Twitter, but many people earn their living from Twitter, not just to do activism. I know a lot of young Nigerians who go to Twitter daily to market their produce. I have met a lot of fantastic young Nigerians, tailors, doing all kinds of things on social media. Some of them I've never met you today. I've patronized them because I've seen what they're doing on social media. And I'm sure many people in the audience have also done the same. So if we look only at the fact that young people are using social media, the only platform they have to reach our leaders, because such forums like these do not exist, where we can look our leaders in the eyes and tell them the truth. They only want to listen to the young people who will sing to them and say, you are a leader, and give them a award. No, we need to have this frank conversation and talk about the values of leadership. My final point before I close, I also think that even in the political sphere, there are no formal training institutes within our political institutions to groom new leaders. So how do young people become leaders? They have to pre-sing and find a godfather? No. Let's have a playing field ground where young people will be attached inside a political institute. You train them, you groom them, you attach them as aides to senior political office holders. They learn the benefit. They have a fair opportunity to get into office and to contest. Today, for a copper to serve in the National Assembly, you must know a senator or a House of Reps member. It's not fair. Young people coming from the village, they should aspire and say, I want to serve in the National Assembly and get a fair chance without knowing anyone. That's the value system that currently that should hand over to the future generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to go online now and speak to our panelists who are joining us virtually. Can we hear from Folusha? I saw your image flash. So if you can speak to us and respond to the question, what you are doing, the work you're doing to inspire social change. Either Folusha or Frank Donga, either of them that's ready. Please go on. You're muted, I think. No, we can't hear you. Maybe while we wait for the technical crew
They
to
can't hear
sort
us in
that
the
out,
hall.
I have one final question for the panelists before we hear from the audience, and that is, on your journey to the societal change you are known for today, what challenges did you face and how did you surmount them? Maybe I'll start with Dr. Omano.
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you
Can you
now.
hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, maybe I should just answer that while you're trying to sort out the technical details.
Please, go on.
Okay, I'm Frank Donga. I'm an actor, a digital content creator. My journey to the social media space in terms of using that as a tool for leadership change, societal influence and all that. Well, so far, it's been an experience, a worthwhile experience. It was born out of the desire to create a leadership channel for young people also by using a very unique tool, humor and social media. I started a couple of years ago, close to a decade now, when I realized that people naturally gravitated towards humor or funny people and they listened to them. So I thought it would be a good opportunity to combine humor and social message, you know, and that was what I did. So I started by infusing little educational materials in my comedy sketches, in my tweets, in my, you know, everything I did. And I saw that people took kindly to them. And I started using such in terms of election for information dissemination on how to vote, where to go, what to expect, social activity. And also I use it to debunk fake news, educate people on the dangers of fake news, corruption, how to report corruption, how to avoid corruption, and the values of integrity and social responsibility. So far, it's been excellent. And the challenges I have faced so far is the fact that, of course, you don't get as many people, you don't get that kind of a large audience compared to just a slapstick humor. So anything entertainment, people seem to sometimes not want to be educated, sometimes, not every time. And then it's also not every time you get brands coming in to support, because creating these materials, spending your time, data, energy, technology on social media or on in conferences, in master classes, it takes, you know, resources out of you. And not often do you have brands coming in or, you know, to help, you know, by sponsoring content that are educational. More or less, or more times than often, you will find brands supporting just regular humor or entertainment. But now it seems to have, you know, people in the social space, institutions coming on board to do more of that, and that's very important. But it will be a delight to see more young people do entertainment and create content for social change.
Thank you very much. Can I put you on the spot and ask you to do a skit for us? I'm kidding. I'm going to go to Folusha. Folusha, can you please share with us your journey to societal change, the challenges you faced, and how you surmounted them?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can. Go on.
Fantastic. I'm so sorry. I didn't hear the question. Can you tell me what the question is again?
Yeah, the question was, on the journey to the societal change that you are known for today, what challenges did you face and how did you surmount them? Did you get that? Folusha, did you get that?
No, I didn't. Sorry. Can you say it again?
On your journey to the societal change that you are known for today, right? What challenges have you faced and how have you surmounted them?
All right. Okay. Thank you. Apologies, everyone, for the technical difficulties. You know, technology is not always trustworthy. Thank you so much for having me. And that is a great question. So I'm the executive director at Junior Achievement Nigeria. And, you know, the core of our work, obviously, is to empower the youth. And we empower them, you know, across 4 different pillars. So financial literacy, digital literacy, work readiness skills, and entrepreneurship. And what we do is that we run programs in different organizations, you know, schools, for out of school youth, in school youth, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm sure that most of us know that 70% of Nigeria's population is actually under the age of 30. So we have one of the largest youth population in the world. And so a lot of our work is really just focused on giving youth tools that we need, because I'm a youth as well, to promote social change, to solve problems in our community, and to do things of that nature. There's a quote by Nelson Mandela that I absolutely love. It says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. And so most of the challenges that we have in Nigeria, quality and relevant education, which then leads to having underskilled youth. And what is an underskilled youth? Somebody who is lacking the adequate skills or qualifications to get a good job. This has put unemployment at such a rate for those between the ages of 15 and 34. So we have about 42% unemployment in that space. So started their own businesses, who are running their own NGOs. I love that I also work in the let's teach you how to empower yourselves, with the skills that you need to, whether it's from solving a problem and getting a business out of that, and so on and so forth. So we've reached over 1 million youth in the past 20 years. Some of our alumni include someone like in of us know, from Andela and Flutterway fame, and so equipping us that will lead to society. Because really, what is an audacious youth? That's a bold youth. That's somebody that's able to make a difference. And in order for you to make a difference, let's be honest, we need to have some sort of economic empowerment. And so the core of our work is really just to do that and to really build responsible and patriotic leaders who will then become very successful and can make a change in the nation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Can I get an answer to that question from those of you down here? I believe Dr. Mano, you were speaking before we finally got Mr.
Okay,
Frank.
thank you. Yes, I think for me, what I would say has been the major challenges that I have confronted is to know who I am. Who is Omano? What is my purpose? Discovering my life purpose have been the most difficult one. My degrees did not teach me that. My PhD did not teach me that. In the course of time, I begin to gradually find that why, and in the process to define a purpose that is bigger than myself. So it is then I realize, after my purpose, that I want to contribute to change in the country and the African continent as a whole. It is after I realized that I begin to equip myself. First, one of the ways I have survived is to be resilient. It's part of, there will be odds. You have to be resilient. You also have to believe in yourself. Nobody will do it for you. You have to believe in yourself that it can be done. There will be odds. To quote Napoleon Hill, and I will recommend this book to everybody. It is called Outwitting the Devil, written in 1938, but only published in 2011. In every adversity, there is equivalent, if not more, reward. I have learned I don't live my fears, I live my hope. Once you are able to do that, you will be able to overcome anything that confronts you. And let me also say this. One of the best gifts that the military gave to me, they detained me and put me in solitary confinement as part of the pro-democracy struggle in the 90s. But it gave me time to reflect and reinforce my belief that Nigeria is a country worth fighting for. If you want to donate blood, you are not going to ask whether the blood is from Hausa, Isoko, Urobo, Yoruba, you just want blood. When you go to the hospital, they are not going to ask whether the doctor, the ethnicity of the doctor or the religion of the doctor. So, so I believe strongly in Nigeria, and I think it is something that it is worth working towards strengthening the unity of Nigeria, but it must be based on justice. And the last point that I will make, I will not be here without my mother. I will not be here without my sisters. But in the political economic space, we have marginalized our women. Thank God the minority leader is here. I think we need to have a constitutional provision that we make it 50-50, women and men.
Okay.
Representation.
Choma, may I speak? Okay. I want to do something, yeah? I know you've asked me a very personal question, but I worry that a lot of the young people here might leave without holding on to anything specifically, and may drown in just hearing again the challenges that we face as a country. And I want to give them something. Is that okay?
So there's a question for them which they will ask us. So just speak to your own challenges, how you surmounted them.
Okay.
And then there's a provision for them to ask.
Let me encapsulate everything that you've asked me in one sentence. As a young person in Nigeria, you need to create your own opportunities. I hear you, Olawale, about speaking to the absence of public libraries. I hear you about the absence of a pipeline for the emergence of leaders. I understand that the leadership system is broken at the point where it is most critical, which is essentially the absorption of new leaders into an existing system, right? It's broken. I hear you about the leaders not listening, but if there's anything that has helped me emerge as a young person, it is understanding that you have your circle of influence and you have your circle of concern. There are a lot of things that are up to you to do, and then there are things that impact you that you have no control over. What all of the leaders who sat down here did is absolutely out of your control. What you wake up and do every single morning, every single night, is entirely up to you. So create your own opportunities. If the door is closed, open it. If there's no seat at the table, carry one. If they say no, persist until you get a yes. And then understand that you are enough. And I say that with all sincerity. You are enough. I traveled to Malabo for a meeting with the Minister of Culture. She was 26. In Nigeria, you have to be high on roofies or sapele water to think that you can be a minister at 26. So I understand and I hear the argument for, well, you know, it's about character, it's not about age, but sunlight exists, sunrise exists for a reason. Sunup exists for a reason, and sunset exists for a reason. Leadership is a race. There's a point where you run and a point where you hand that baton over. The challenge we have all identified is the fact that the people who have the baton are not handing it over. So we have an increasingly desperate glut of young people waiting for what I would call their turn. And that turn is now. You own the future. Nobody is going to hand it over to you. You are going to have to take it. I am impressed that you see me as someone who has driven societal change. Frankly, I was just tired. I was project manager for a nationwide project where I had to cover about 32 states across Nigeria to reach about 1 million young girls in about 4,500 schools. To do that, I needed a team of about 100 to 120 people. I was pretty young myself. So, I mean, I traveled around trying to recruit people to join my team, and it exposed me firsthand to just how terrible the quality of young people the educational system was churning out was. We say there are no jobs, but I had about 120 jobs. My team would shortlist about maybe 50 people, and then I would interview and come out of that interview drained, frustrated, knowing that of these 50, I can't work with anybody. And then I asked myself as a young person, what can I do? This is really bad. What can I do? And I realized that sometimes it wasn't so much that they didn't have what it took. It was the presentation of what they had. And that's what led me to establish Graduate Pro and then write I'm a Graduate Now What? The core members under the sound of my voice, look for that book. It's my gift to you, right? It essentially just maps the process for you to be able to find meaningful work in this marketplace called Africa. So find that book. It was just being tired of status quo and saying, I need to do something. And I wrote that book. And I've basically been trying to situate myself in places where interventions are being executed. And I'll speak to a couple of those. I'm a trustee with Africa Coaching Desk. I'm a member of the board of advisors with Strategy Initiative for Development. I work with the Youth SDGs Network, all at board level, to affect policies to essentially implement policies that affect young people. What challenge have I faced as a young person? I think the first is just being taken seriously. Let me share an experience. I just come back from South Africa after a training. Right. I just come back to South Africa after a training, and we won a pitch. And I was taken by my supervisory director to the meeting where I was supposed to be introduced to the client as the project manager to drive that project. I was very young. And it was essentially a C-suite meeting. I sat in that meeting, and then they asked, so who is going to run this project? And then my supervisory director said, Naomi will drive it. And without exception, every single C-suite member in that meeting burst into laughter. They started laughing and then apologized and laughed and apologized and laughed and said, sorry, we're not trying to be rude, but this is not the kind of projects that you give to you give to young people. So you have to create your own opportunities, and you have to demand accountability from the people who you have voted to serve you, right? I find that a lot of young people really struggle with that. But if you can do that, I think you'll be fine. And I hope you found meaning from what I've said.
Thank you very much. Before I take Rotimi's response to that question, can we take one or two questions from the audience? Very important to be able to get feedback from people in the audience. I can see 3 hands of men. I cannot see a woman's hand. Fantastic. So can we start with the lady on that end? Is there a mic that can get to her?
Thank you, Choma. So 3 questions. Can we see the hands so that we can direct this? All right, you. Choma, who can you point them out?
So I have 2 ladies, and then I'll take the gentleman wearing the jacket.
Okay, please come out. Please come out. There's a microphone at the end.
Okay.
So what you're going to do, you just introduce yourself and go straight to the question, straight to it, right? Can we agree that if you talk more than introducing yourself, your name and what you do and your question, we can cut you? Okay. Thank you for agreeing with me. That way,
You're
yes.
Coming this
that
way.
way. That
this
way.
way. To your right, please. Well, to my right.
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Standing on the already existing protocol, my name is Ngozi Emachi, the CEO of La Travel Consultancy Limited. We do travel, stores, and private jets and lots of things. Okay, my question is, with lots of things have been said, and from my experience, okay, firstly, thank you, Your Excellency, for the bridge. I think the first time I attended the bridge was 2013 when I was still in University of Calabar, and that inspired me a lot. And but through my years of experience opening a company, running it successfully by God's grace, we see lots of challenges and we don't know how to really make some things work. They say when somebody counts 1 or 2 and you're starting from 3, 4, it makes it easy. But the older generation, to an extent, have not been able to transfer their experiences and their knowledges to us. That's my question. How? What should we do? What is that thing that we are not doing right that is making the knowledge not being transferred to us?
Thank you very much.
And how best can we present our ideas that we want to impact to our generation? Yeah.
Thank you. What to do right and how best present our ideas.
All right, thank you so very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, thank you so very much for this great platform. As a matter of fact, my name is Darlington Peter Aonwe, former youth envoy in the Nigeria Youth Parliament and the executive director and founder of Igusu for Africa, that's Inspiring Generation and Humanity Support Foundation. Will galvanize process, people, and resources for implementing programs and projects that promote human rights and gender justice, inclusive education, good governance, and climate action activities. Straight to the question, my question is, how would young people overcome, are you listening, moderator? Okay, how would young people overcome economic disenfranchisement, religious and ethnic division, which is the main three instruments which is being used by mainstream politicians to divide the opinion, the common will, the energy, and the commitment of young people to come together and demand for accountable, inclusive, and transparent governance. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Good day, everyone. Happy birthday to the Senator. God bless and keep you. Thank you for all you do, sir. All right, my name is Elfevo Chidima John, and I'm the founder of the Language Arena, a place where the language needs of people are met. Yes, I've been here since morning, and I've heard a lot of things about, the country, what's happening in the country, and everything. So Mrs. Naomi was able to hit a point that touched my heart. She said, yes, the country is bad, but what can we do? Now, as youth, one thing we should do is look for a way forward. Now, my question is this. Okay. Can you please share with us some of the things you did that helped you in your journey? Because with everything I've listened, with everything I heard from you, you pushed forth. There are definitely things that helped you. So I would like you to share them with us. Okay. And also, I would like to know how I can get your book or how we can get your book. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
He's already there. He's already
there. All right.
Yeah, just give him. He's already there.
So sorry about that. I didn't even know that I wasn't selected.
Go on.
Okay. My name is Izu Samuel. I'm not a founder, but I am serving under Apostle Pastor Harry on the Youth Informers Network. I'm just coming back from the School of Government and Politics program. My question is very direct, and it's going to be directed to Dr. Mano. I got very concerned when Naomi narrated how that a lot of young people do not have the requisite qualification to be selected in terms of job offer. I do not, so with due respect, I would need to give a landing page so that my question is substantial. Thank you. All right, so please, Dr. Mano, I listened to you very carefully and intelligently when you reiterated your concerns towards how education has failed us, in the sense that a lot of young people lack the capacity to be able to, offer values. Being that you have been a lecturer in the university, can you, for the sake of posterity, give us practical steps as to how educational reform can be something that could be brought into the system. I would say that again. Educational reform. How? This question is directed to this question is directed to Dr. Mano. And then the last question, please. I have a very big concern about a lot of things that have been said, quite practical. But please, I would like to ask you, sir, with due respect. Rotimi, with due respect, I'm sorry about that for skipping your name. Please, because a lot of young people here are very concerned. Many of them are very bothered about some practical questions. So I want to ask you, sir, with due respect, what were those, what would you have to say about youth and mentorship when it comes to societal development? Youth and mentorship when it comes to societal development. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your questions. Let's go online first and see if there are any responses. So Folusho and Frank, if there are any responses to any of the questions that have been raised. Okay. Rotimi, let's start with you then, while they try to get them.
All right, thank you very much. First, I would speak to mobilizing social change in Nigeria. And I think that there are two pathways, and we should not mix them. The first pathway is that every Nigerian has the specific social responsibility to create change wherever they find themselves, and we need to do so. And I think many of us on this panel and many of the previous speakers are doing that in different ways and means that they found themselves, including the work that the Bridge Leadership Foundation is doing, including myself. I lead Youth of Africa, a foundation that is training young people across Africa, and I've advised envoys at the African Union to mobilize more than $5 million to train young people across the African continent. But that is not enough. It's a drop in the ocean. The second pathway to social change that is irreplaceable by what anyone can do individually is government. So, no matter how many young people the Bridge Leadership Foundation puts into school on full scholarship, it cannot replace what the government can do. So, while we continue to exemplify and use private resources like the foundation and the different work that people are doing on this panel and the different foundations that people are running across the country to support and hold the fabric of the nation from tearing, we must also put the feet of government to fire to lead up to their own responsibility of government to ensure quality education. In today's Nigeria, I can hazard a guess that any child who goes through public education from primary 1 to SS3, the chances that they can get into a higher education is very slim because of the quality of education. It's poor. So if they don't have that opportunity, how do you want them to become a graduate and be competitive? It is going to be very difficult. And then you're comparing them to kids who went to Loyola Jesuit or went to Corona or went to Premier Academy or went to Covenant University and say they are not smart. They cannot be smart because they did not start at the same line. The lines are different. So if you don't interview them and you say this one went to the kind of university I went to a state university, and you say he can't speak English very well, he went to a public secondary school, public primary school, teachers are absent, teachers were not paid, no schools, no books in the library, he is coming with a big deficiency. So while we continue to create programs to support them, to help them to take away the deficiency they have, we must put government to test to ensure that there's a level playing field, a minimum level playing field, that our young people can have the opportunity to excel in a nation called Nigeria. I celebrate every young Nigerian who remains in Nigeria and is not running abroad today. They've taken an opportunity to live here and continue to struggle in a country that is difficult to excel in. I celebrate you for staying and not escaping. In response to the question that is directed at me on youth mentorship with around social development, I think that there are a number of opportunities that we can do, and one of them is a program like this where we come to listen, interrogate, and learn, and find such opportunities to do so. But I also think that our current crop of leaders should also make themselves available for mentoring younger people in the different places that they find themselves, in order that we can share experience and share the things that we have learned in our journey of life. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Can I add one question each for the both of you as you respond? And these are questions gotten from the audience and also from the various viewing centers. I understand there are 10 of them today. The first of them is, I think, Naomi, maybe you should take this one. How can today's youth keep themselves motivated with the various conflicts and obstacles in Nigeria? And for Dr. Omano, there's a question here about what really, or who really is an audacious youth, and how effectively can young people bring new narratives and a paradigm shift in Nigeria's political system? So if you could just take those with your closing remarks, and then Rotimi will wrap up for us. Sorry for the additional.
Thank you. Let me just address, I think I have 4 questions, so let me just try to address them. I think one appeal I will make to particularly those, I'm not a youth, but to the youth, one appeal I will make to you, please do not inherit the daytime political enemy of the politician you admire. You can see them just, they are friends. Mostly, in the daytime, they might speak different languages, but at night, they are friends. And to give concrete example, we have seen children of PDP marrying children of APC members. I'm just using that as an illustration. So don't be deceived about what you hear them say in the daytime. They are friends. What we need to do, we have to learn to understand the country. That is what the NYC was supposed to do. I think there are some challenges, but when they say Igbos this, learn to understand who are the Igbos. If they say Fulani this, learn to understand who are the Fulanis, and try to make friends at a personal level, connect, and really understand them. When you do that, you will understand that you have the same problems. The problems of unemployment, as an example, is across the board, the whole country. So that is one strong appeal that I will make. Let me just say this. Look, I'm not the religious type, and I have said this in my book, which I will give a copy to our host. On Sundays, you go to the churches are full. On Fridays, you go to the mosques are full. But the hall of integrity is empty in Nigeria every day. That is the problem. So try to understand your humanity, because that is what binds us, our common humanity, and try to work to service our common humanity. Don't be a religious bigot. Don't be an ethnic bigot. You will be surprised when we live outside this country, and I have spent a lot of time outside this country. You meet Nigerians. Once you say we are Nigerians, we are brothers. But immediately we arrive at the airport here, then there are so-called divisions. I really do not understand that. So, first, understand our common humanity, and if you focus on that we are all creation of one God, then we are going to be fine. Don't allow the divisiveness of politicians to mislead you. One of the questions is actually an area that I have worked on besides being an academic. I have worked on trying to transform the African higher education, and in Kaduna State we are also trying to address the challenges that faces us. You must have heard that we have just increased the school fees of in Kaduna State. For 16 years, the school fees of Kaduna State universities were not increased. Inflation was not taken into consideration. The demand to have the infrastructure were not taken into consideration. So we need to have a conversation, a national conversation about investment in the sector. What should be the role of government? What should be the role of the private sector? What should be the role of parents? And what should be the role of students? We need to have that conversation. Everybody have a role to play for us to invest adequately. And as Japhet Omojo has said, our curriculum is obsolete. We are not responding to the needs, our current need or future needs. We are responding to the needs of the past. Singapore has introduced coding in primary 1. In Nigeria, we have not done that. We continue to teach religious studies, history, without the requisite skills. So those are some of the things that we need to address in the education sector. And I'm glad that there are some politicians here. We really need to sit down and address each, if we want to transform this country, each of these sectors, and have a holistic national development agenda that will take the country.
Thank you very much, Dr. Omano.
Yeah, the last point, who is an audacious youth? It is a youth that knows his or her purpose, your life purpose, and you work assiduously to fulfill your life purpose, and when you die empty. My goal is to die empty. I don't want to die. If I can still write a book, I will write the book now. I don't want to take it to the cemetery. Deny the cemetery of the riches. The richest place on earth is the cemetery, because there's so many talent, music, invention that should be made, that were not made because we did not give our all. So you work, the audacious youth is one that will work to give his or her all in the service of humanity. And if you do that, you go to heaven.
Please.
Thank you, sir. Okay. How many of you here are entrepreneurs or run some type of side hustle? That is audacity, just in case you're wondering what it is. Every morning you wake up and decide that you're going to sell on Instagram or sell on Twitter or sell on Facebook. Nothing is guaranteed. The fact that you still go ahead and do it means that you are audacious. So do not see audacity as an aspiration. It's already your lived experience. Yeah? Something else I'd like to say is that Nigerians travel outside of Nigeria and immediately begin to run the town. We own the place. In fact, we're known. I was in Kenya shopping, right? And I was gisting with another Nigerian. And then the sales attendant just walked up to us and said, "Are you guys Nigerians?" And we said, yes. She was like, "No wonder." And she walked away. So you are identified because of your audacity. So there's something about Nigeria as a geographical expression that truncates the expression of this audacity that we're talking about. And I'm hoping that I can just speak very quickly about these things because it affects you. Now, when we think of leadership, right, that's the leading societal change. Everybody immediately thinks politics. How do I become? Maybe it's because of how lucrative it has become, so you just immediately think politics. You think followers, you think money, you think influence, you think power, you think a retirement plan. Yes, there are a lot of politicians that just think, man, I'm dying here. It's good here. But at its most basic, and then to encapsulate everything that all the leaders who have spoken and unfortunately left said, the most impactful, the most critical, the most important type of leadership is personal leadership. If you don't take anything from me today, I need you to understand that. Now let's unpack personal leadership just a little bit. What is personal leadership? And how can you foster that? Every time NSAS, all the protests happening, banditry, kidnapping, Boko Haram, Niger Delta Avengers, everything you can think of points to a failure of personal leadership. As Nigerians, there is just a level of self-mastery that is required to do the things that we need to do and to exist as a people that is just completely absent. And it is, okay, let me put it this way to bring it home. If you move an idiot in a one-bedroom apartment to a mansion, what does he become? I heard an answer, an idiot in a mansion. He's still an idiot. He doesn't become something else because he now has 10 bedrooms. He just has a bigger platform to be an even bigger idiot. So the disappointment that a lot of us feel is because we expect so much more from people who have not been prepared for the roles that they occupy. If he steals as a keke rider, he will steal when he rides a jeep for somebody. The platforms just become bigger for you to express what is already there. So it becomes important for you to ensure that while you are preparing yourself, while you are waiting to assume that particular position you want to assume, that you build the requisite skills required for you to live up to the expectations that people have of you. I think that that's important. Before I conclude, let me quickly speak to some of the questions that one or two people asked. And the first thing is, you said, somebody asked, what can I do to get knowledge transfer? There was a problem with the people who are there are not telling us, the younger ones, what to do. There's a lot of expectation with young people, but you're going to have to reach out. Remember what I said about bringing your own seat to the table and opening doors that are closed? If you find people who you admire, the worst that you can get as an answer is no. And I don't know anybody who has died when they told them no. You can ask to be mentored. You can look for volunteer opportunities to build your leadership skills. You can find courses to do online, and then you can ask for opportunities to serve, either on a paid basis, on a consultancy basis. You can jump on projects. But do not wait for people to transfer knowledge. Power is not something you are given. It is something you take. And I'm hoping that that helps settle the anxiety that you have. Then somebody else asked, how would young people overcome the ethnic/religious division that the politicians are leveraging on? If there's anything that worries me about the typical young person in Nigeria today, it's just the complete absence of context. Absolute lack of context. So let's share the country. You go your way, I go my. You can easily say those things because of the absence of context and just a shallow understanding of the intricacies that brought us together as a nation. I would recommend, if you haven't watched it, I think it's on Netflix, Gbenga Shashore's The Journey of an African Colony. And then there's a documentary by Jide Olarinwaju called, I think, something on Nigeria. It's on YouTube. Who are we as a people? How did we get here? Why are we here? What are the issues? Where is my place in all of this? A lot of young people don't know. I tell people I'm a northerner, and they say, oh, and you're a Christian. You're Hausa, Abi. So in all of the 19 states in the north, you just assume that the only language that is spoken is Hausa. Hausa is actually a minority language in the north, right? So get context. It's going to help you situate. You know, there's this your little world that you live in. But there's a broader context within which you have to live and find expression. Get spatial awareness of that broader context so you don't keep offending people. It's the reason why you just say aboki, it doesn't have sense. But there are intellectuals that that you call aboki. It's the reason why you say the Igbo man is stingy, because you just think all he's about is money. But if I ask you how far have you traveled, maybe you've gone to 2 states in the entire country. You don't have context. Again, let me just settle on personal leadership. A lot of things are outside of your control. The only thing within your control is how you are able to master yourself and to lead yourself. If everybody here is able to do that, when you get the bigger platform as a chairman or governor or whatever, it's just the same thing you're going to do. Personal leadership. Thank you very much.
Okay, Rotimi, 30 seconds, please, because we really do need to go.
All right, thank you very much. I think I'll just build from where Naomi stopped, and I think that wherever you find yourself as a young person, irrespective of where you're starting, even if it's an NYC position where you're teaching JSS1 student, be excellent at it.
Yes.
Be committed to it. Do what you're expected to do. Arrive to work on time. If you work in the public sector as a core member, go to work, even if there's no work to do. Go and knock on doors and ask them, I'm a core member, I'm serving here, I want to work. Gain the skills, right? People are watching you. Everywhere you work, people are watching you. And they're making a judgment on your character, they're making a judgment on your values, and they would ask them one day, can they recommend this person? They would say a yes or a no. I have found so many opportunities by just taking the little I was given and being excellent at it. So wherever you find yourself, in your little business, in your work, you work with government, even if you're frustrated with the system, give it your very best. It might be your colleagues that are seeing you that will recommend you for something else, but give it your very best. The next thing and the last thing I would say is a response to the educational issue that Doctor mentioned, increasing school fees in Kaduna. I find it very interesting that our political leaders, many of them who speak their minds, do not allow our young people to express dissatisfaction with the way that school fees are increased in Nigeria. The first question we need to ask ourselves, can they pay it? Poverty is high, unemployment is high. Can they pay? So if you increase and they can't pay, what happens? When I was in school, I studied in Ladoke Akintola University of Technology in Ogbomoso. School fees was 2,750. We had students who cannot pay. They can't pay. Their parents can't afford it. We were feeding them in the hostel because they don't have food. So if you increase it because government can take that unilateral decision to increase it and they can't pay, and the children of those who can't pay can't go to school, what are their options? So government should listen, and that's part of the leadership, that when you're in government, yes, there are brilliant people working in government, but we should listen. The poor people might not have the big grammar to speak, but we should invite them to a dialogue and listen to the yearnings of people. People want to be educated. We should not deny them that right. It's a fundamental human right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I just say a very big thank you to the panelists, Folusho, Dr. Omano, Kunle, or Frank, Naomi, and Rotimi. I would have done a recap, but I'm mindful that people have been here all day and haven't been fed yet. So just to close on with a final note to say happy birthday, Your Excellency. Thank you for the resilience, inclusion, and selflessness of a platform that has spanned 10 years and counting. We hope and pray that it continues, and thank you for the 29,000 plus young people who have passed through your platform. It's truly remarkable, especially for someone who's not in office, or someone who left office and continued to run it. Thank you very much, and thank you again to my panel. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you very much. I thought that your claps would be louder. That's more like it. Thank you very much, Choma. Okay, I feel like, can we have the panelists back up on stage so you can do a group picture? All right, while we get ready for the next session. So Naomi, Rotimi, Choma, Dr. Manuel, please come back on stage so we can take a group picture with the founder, of course. And we're getting ready for the next session, which will be handled by Samson Itodo, the founder of Yaga. He's going to speak on good governance and reforms, bridging the gap, creating a pathway for our youth. But we want to recognize our sponsors and thank them specially for putting this together. Your Excellency, sir, please, can you take a picture with the panelists? We want to thank our sponsors, Whitley Brook Resources Limited, Northwest Petroleum and Gas Company, Stanbic IBTC, Interswitch, Levine Energy Group, Lilica, ValueMat DC Market, Springs Paradise, and of course our media partners, Hit 95.9 FM Calabar and Calabar Blog. Can we have the sponsor's message on the screen?
Penicillin, ethanol, flour, sugar, glue, whiskey, cornstalk, starch, oil, livestock feed, all from corn. You will discover endless opportunities when you search deeper. And to enjoy their full worth, you need an innovative payment solutions partner that creates value from the obvious and sees opportunity in the not so obvious. Interswitch.
Can we please put our hands together for our sponsors? Once again, we want to appreciate them for sticking with us and ensuring that these discussions are held and this event happens every year. It's the 11th Career Day event. Just to inform you that at the end of this event, lunch will be served, and that's in about less than an hour. We're going to wrap things up as fast as we can. And shouts to all participants in the different viewing centers. We really appreciate the fact that you stayed with us. And big ups to everyone here as well. Please put your hands together for yourselves. I'm sure we're having a great time. Put your hands together for yourselves. So our next session is going to be anchored by Samson Itodo. He will speak to us virtually. Samson Itodo is the Executive Director of Yaga Africa and the convener of the Not Too Young to Run movement. I thought that would make you clap. He has 13 years of experience and expertise in elections, legal research and analysis, parliamentary strengthening, constitution building, and social movements. Samson is a recipient of the Future Africa Award Young Person of the Year in 2018. He won that. He also won the Leadership Newspaper 2018 Outstanding Young Person of the Year. He's a fellow of the prestigious Archbishop Desmond Tutu Leadership Program and was also inducted in the 100 Most Influential Young Africans by the African Youth Awards in 2017. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Samson Itodo. Come on, put your hands together. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Please, can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, it's my pleasure to be here this evening to just share some reflections on the topic that was assigned to me. But before I just go into the very brief remark that I have, because I see that we've spent a lot of time and we will soon be wrapping up. Let me register my deep and sincere appreciation for this invitation. But more importantly, is to recognize this fabulous and terrific work and the investment that His Excellency is making in young people and has done this over the years. And I heard Shoma speak in the previous session that haven't left public office, you're still committed to building the next generation of leaders. I think this is unprecedented. It should be celebrated. And I want to thank you most sincerely. And we hope that you continue to do this as long as you live and even afterwards, because there are a few public leaders who invest in building leadership amongst young people, and we don't invest in the future. And this effort, it's highly commended. And thanks most sincerely, and happy 60th birthday. The second point I'd like to make is to urge everyone who is in the room, particularly the young people who are not yet registered, to vote. INEC is currently registering voters. It started on the 28th of June. And this time, the voter registration is decentralized. So the process takes place in 2 stages. The first stage is the online registration. So you're not registered and you're 18, just go on the website yourself to vote. And after the online registration, by July 19th, INEC will commence the physical registration, where you have to go, to the registration centers for biometric capture. Please don't forget, as young people, our vote is our voice, and it's important that we exercise that right. And 2023 gives us an opportunity, to speak out and assert our sovereignty as a people. Having said that, let me just elastics, took place in the last few sessions, from the goodwill messages down to the last fantastic session. But I'll just talk about 3 sort of proposals for whether you call it political reforms. I will just put 3 proposals on the table. The first is, when we talk about good governance and reform and how we bridge the gap, it's important that we rethink and the reward system in Nigeria. Governance is not structured, to promote efficiency. It's not structured to promote merit. It's not structured to promote results. And so there's a disparity between work and reward. So people who invest their resource, their time, to make government or governance work are not rewarded. Rather, you have the top 1%, or those who, by virtue of their subscription to patronage politics, they are the ones who get rewarded. So you look at the political space, psychophancy is the reward. A seat in parliament or party nomination is a reward for psychophancy and not necessarily merit. And that's a governance philosophy that we need to change. That we need a governance system that delivers reward to people who, merit this reward, and people who are invested. The second governance reform that we need is decentralization and the need to decondense power. There's a lot of concentration of power at the center. And if we are a federal republic in the true sense of the word, there is need for us to rethink our local governance, and particularly our local government system. And I want to urge, my generation and the young people who are in this gathering on the need to support, the advocacy for local governance reforms. Once the Constitution is being amended and being reviewed, and hoping that it will address, this inequity, we need to start our local government systems, our local institutions where they tie, governors as well as politicians. But I want to encourage you that there's a lot you can do at your local government level. Don't always look at the center. Try for our NYSC colleagues who are here, your CDCs are localized in local governments. please, like Rotimi said in the last session, whatever task you are assigned, do it well. Engage your local governments, know the functions of the local governments. And I want to urge you that you should have a copy of the Constitution, either the Constitution as well as the electoral law. These two documents are very critical for active citizenship. And so local governance is very critical. Participate in how your local government is being administered, and also participate, in demanding accountability at your local government level. The closest government to you is your local government. So try to know who the local government chairman is. They have their own responsibility they perform as local government council executives or chiefs. So please participate in your local government. The third point that I'd like to make is with respect to representation, that the existing system of representation is very exclusionary and does not promote, harnessing the potentials of our diverse population. And in this case, I would say women, youth, and persons with disability. Our challenge as a country is the fact that we don't trust young people, we don't invest in young people, and we consider young people the problem and not the solution. And that's why I'm really fascinated about this program by the Bridge Foundation, which is, preparing leaders and mentoring leaders and situate them in different areas of our lives to promote development and change. And this is what we need to encourage. And so we talk about bridging the gap between the old and the new, and the old and the young. I think our political leaders need to understand the concept of intergenerational equity. I see this program as just an expression of the appreciation that His Excellency has for intergenerational equity. Is thinking about the future. What kind of leaders are we preparing to rule Nigeria over the next 20, 40, and 50 years? And are we creating that pipeline and empowering them with the requisite skills and networks that they need, to thrive when saddled with the responsibility of leadership? But we must have a conversation on the kind and the quality of leadership that we need as a people. And the fact that people who are in governance positions need to know that affects people's lives. It shapes their behavior, and it can determine, the longevity of their existence. And so it's critical that leaders, care about the people. It's critical that we've got leaders that are responsive, leadership that is transformative, and leadership that is innovative. And young people have these sort of values and skills that they can bring to the table to transform society. So as we talk about reforms, yes, they've passed the Not Too Young to Run legislation, but I want to use this opportunity, to call on the young people and also the political leaders who are here to call on the National Assembly as it plans to pass the electoral law next week, that it should not reject the proposal, to integrate electronic transmission of results in our electoral process. It should not increase, the cost of running for office. You see, the proposal is to increase the cost or the limits for campaign expenditure for a president from 1 billion to 15 billion. That is unacceptable for a country like Nigeria that claims and desires, to be a country that is inclusive, that provides, access to marginalized populations in the electoral process. So let's join hands, articulate our voices, and amplify them, and call on the National Assembly that in passing the Electoral Act next week, electronic transmission of results should be in that bill, as well as reducing the cost of the limits for running for office. So I'll just end on that note to say that thank you very much for inviting me to speak. But to our young people who are here, a lot of advice and recommendations have come. But I want to urge our political leaders that the young people of Nigeria are very committed to a united country. But we only have one appeal, that as you advise us and you make these recommendations, please, we want you to, because a lot of young people, shape their decisions and their choices by whom, than to take and adopt some of the values that you pattern of which you have attempted to lead. And so I'd say thank you very, very much. And once again, happy 60th anniversary to his great work, because this is what Nigeria needs to build the present and the future that is required to bring this country back to the path of progress. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samson Itodo. We'll take some questions. Can we still have Samson on the screen? We'll take some questions. If you have questions for Samson, please let me see your hands. Just identify by show of hands. Okay, keep them up so I can peek. All right, please come. You, who else? 1, 2. That's okay, that's fine. That's fine. Please come forward. So our agreement still stands. Your name, what you do, and straight to the point with your questions. Please make way so they can come. We're hitting the home stretch. We're winding down real quick. Thank you.
Okay, should I come? Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Your Excellency, and happy birthday. My name is Donatus Ozemoya Ihane. I'm a freelance researcher and currently an intern with the Independent National Electoral Commission Committee on INEC. Sorry, Senate Committee on INEC. Thank you. I'm wondering, I wanted to ask Mr. Itodo, because I'm very much aware that the Electoral Act is okay. The Electoral Act should be presented by next week, probably Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, based on the plenaries of National Assembly. So I'm just curious. He asked us to champion the sustenance of 1 billion as the benchmark for presidential office. Then what mechanism should we deploy, given that this is becoming an exigency? Because that document should be ready by now. Thank you.
My name is Emmanuel Edet. Then I have a question for Mr. Samson Itodo. And now the electoral bill is about to pass, and the finance aspect of it has been increasing from 1 billion to 15 billion for presidency and so on. Then young people are ready to contest for political offices. The question is, how do we get 1 billion, get billions of naira to contest with the political class in the country? Thank you.
So the similar questions, I don't know if we still have Samson. If we don't.
Yes.
Okay, Samson, go ahead.
Yeah, so if I get the question is how do we, so the last question on how do we mobilize resources? And my sort of position is I would expect the National Assembly to decommercialize our electoral process and try to structure our legal framework in a way that political parties, as well as stakeholders who are interested in vying for office, are guided by, other sort of values that shape and define the kind of leaders. Because in Nigeria today, right, the politics and the highest spenders. And so we've got to decommercialize. And one way to do that is to reduce, to peg low thresholds for campaign spending, but also limit the amount that political parties charge candidates. One of the proposals in the bill before the committee jettisoned it was, and this actually came from the 8th Assembly, propose certain parties, and it sets threshold that parties cannot charge this amount of money for their party nomination forms. But the people who make these laws are politicians and they are members of political parties. And if you study the rules and the politics of electoral reforms, the truth is the current office holders would not want to pass a law that would, and this is where I have a interest. When you make these laws, think about the people. Public interest is, how do we decommercialize our process so that you reduce the incidence of electoral corruption, you provide a level playing field for everybody, of people who have the financial might and the war chest to execute. Because when they get into office, their first preoccupation is how do they recoup the monies that they spend. And so decisions and policies are made with that in mind and not necessarily, the public good. So let's reduce the cost, but can young people mobilize resources to run for office? I want to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that there are young people who are in the state houses of assemblies today who ran for elections and won without the kind of war chest that you imagine you need to have. If you want to run for office, I plead with you, be popular in your constituency. All politics is local. Go and make yourself popular. INEC does not count tweets. It doesn't count Facebook posts. Politics is about people. You need to get people out to vote at elections. Go and show leadership, demonstrate capacity, and people will vote for you. The second point is we need to think about innovative ways of raising finances, to run our political campaigns. There are things like crowdfunding. There are people who will be willing to donate and contribute to your campaigns. But where we are lacking as young people is we think we would stay in the urban centers, use our laptops and computers, and get people to vote at elections. It doesn't work that way. The older politicians know the language of those who are in the grassroots, so they know how to mobilize those people. So let's also go back to our communities, make ourselves relevant, and then when we field ourselves, and we want to run for office, we will get the kind of support. But I will not end by saying that youth is not an ideology. Youth is not an ideology. Youth is a transient age. And if you're going to negotiate for political space and representation, please, I beg you, negotiate from a standpoint of value and the impact and your ideas that you bring to transform leadership, and not necessarily your age. Because today's youth will be tomorrow's elders. And today's adolescents and teenagers will be tomorrow's youth. And they would ask you, when you were a young person and you had the opportunity to lead, what did you do? Let's learn from the mistakes of the past and see how we shape, our electoral politics in a way that, one, it delivers justice to the people, that justice is for all and not for a few who can afford it, that the top 1% are not those who determine, how we who are at the below 99% would live our lives.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for Samson Itodo. Thank you very much for joining us and talking to us, Samson. We appreciate it. Distinguished guests, please put your hands together for yourselves. Don't get tired of clapping for yourselves. I mean, you stayed all through these sessions. We're happy that you've been there all through these sessions. We'll take a short video. It's 2 minutes long, very short. After that, we'll take the final session, which will be anchored by John Obidi, the founder of Head Start Africa. We just want to hear from participants and beneficiaries of the Bridge Leadership Foundation. They are going to share their experience. It's a very short video. Are we ready?
Okay, so 2011, I saw an advert for the Bridge Leadership Foundation, the first career day, and I attended that one. And after that, I also attended the graduate employability training where young people were trained. And since after that, I've also attended all the programs of the Bridge Leadership Foundation. Okay, so before I attended all of those programs, I was a person that was very comfortable with where I was. There was no spirit of, no drive in me, you know, to pursue a particular career. So I was just there. And I also had this confidence problem. I wasn't confident enough to talk to people. I wasn't confident enough to stand up to pursue my goals. I was just there. Okay, so the difference between me then and me now is the fact that my confidence level is up there, and I just have that drive now to pursue whatever goal I want to achieve. And then most importantly, the Bridge Leadership has always taught young people that they are leaders in anywhere they find themselves. So I begin to take leadership positions even in society. Currently, I'm a broadcast journalist, I'm a compere voiceover artist, and a social entrepreneur. And this is my TBLF experience.
In 2019, when I was serving in Cross River State as a corps member, I came in contact with the Bridge Leadership Foundation, and I was enlisted to be one of the facilitators on the Leadership and Community Development Program. Before the training, I knew nothing about facilitation, about training, about coaching, about mentorship. Right now, because of my contact with the Bridge Leadership Foundation, I'm a trainer, I'm a leadership trainer, I'm a coach. I mentor the young people. So far, I've trained over 500 young people in my state, Benue State, and I'm doing more. I am the founder of the Leadership Tower Foundation, and this is my TBLF experience.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Please put your hands together for the Bridge Leadership Foundation. The Bridge Leadership Foundation has been doing this for 10 years. It's the 10th anniversary today, and we're very happy that we're here, to celebrate this anniversary on the 11th Career Day. Are we ready for the next session? Okay. So we're trying to establish contact, I figure. But just to let you know that this event is live on the radio, Hit FM Calabar, and we have 10 viewing centers in Cross River State, of course, where we have young people teamed up there, ready to learn and, of course, participate with what's happening right here in Abuja. I feel like we should take the vote of thanks. Are we? Are we good? All right, ladies and gentlemen, as we wrap things up, as you're leaving, I hope you know there's actually lunch served outside, as I said earlier, at the end of the event. But of course, I think that we could wrap things up here. So please, one more time, put your hands together as I invite the founder of the Bridge Leadership Foundation. It's also his 60th birthday today. Please don't stop clapping. His Excellency, Senator Leal Imoke.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. Wow. Another
career day coming to its conclusion and our first career day event in Abuja. Let me start by thanking God for the success of this event and indeed for the celebration of my 60th birthday anniversary. But again, I want to particularly thank our visitors, our very special guest. Like I said, this is an unusual activity for us. Normally, we do not have the political class as part of our activity. We always have just the young people sharing, and oftentimes we have the young people even advising us and coming up with their own ideas on how we can build new leaders for the nation. For us, at the Bridge Leadership Foundation, we can only say thank you to those who have supported us. There's always been a challenge. Sometimes when you're in public office, it's easier to get support. But when you leave public office, the support starts to trickle in. So it now takes will. It now takes audaciousness to sustain initiatives of this nature, to be able to ensure that we continue to provide opportunities for young people. And we've sustained this over a fairly long period, and our programs have continued to grow. And they've grown because of those who have made it possible. And today I want to recognize those who have made it possible. The young people that run the foundation. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to appreciate my team, my very small but very energetic team. And I'd like to invite them to join me as we usually do at this event. So my team will join me here, and you recognize them with me, please, because they work assiduously to make the programs work. Where's Funlola and everybody else? You guys, come on. Well, the members of the team. Now, somebody came into my living room in Calabar a few days back when I was having a meeting with my team, and looked at the team and said that are these the people? Are these the people that do all the work? And I said, yes, these are the people that make the foundation work. And so this is the Bridge Leadership Foundation team. Of course, we have a board of trustees that supports us very, very strongly. Today is very special in many ways, like I said, and like I know the program has overrun our schedule because of that component that came into the program, but you'll forgive us for that. It's for the celebration. But again, I'm hoping that the foundation will also benefit from having the exposure and also that they will contribute towards the programs of the foundation. Today, we're honoring one of our colleagues who has been with the foundation from inception. He's been with the foundation from inception, and he's been a member of the team for 10 years. And we'd like to give him an award. And he's got an award which is an award for long service, and he's there. Even I have bosses, so I'd like to invite one of my bosses to make the presentation to Nya for long service. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, the rest of the team,